It was really eye-opening. I urge you to watch. I guess I urge you to watch those, or you can just take my word for it. But the last thing I want to talk about today is 2020 and the women's vote. So today, this very day, is the 100th anniversary of the actual implementation, the putting in place, the ratifying of the 19th Amendment to United States Constitution, giving women the right to vote. Today's the day, 100 years ago today, that the 19th Amendment actually became part of the Constitution and women had the right to vote. And I want to talk about a couple of things. First, just a lighthearted story, which is that President Trump has announced that he is going to, in honor of this and this big anniversary, 100th anniversary of the women getting the right to vote, he is going to issue a pardon for Susan B. Anthony, who was actually convicted of a crime by going to vote before women had the right to vote. Here's a quick clip by President Trump making this announcement.
I wanted to just add something because this was brought up a week ago, and I was so surprised that it was never done before. Because later today, I will be signing a full and complete pardon for Susan B. Anthony. She was never pardoned. Did you know that? She was never pardoned. What was so wrong? And you know that she got a pardon for a lot of other women, and she didn't put her name on the list.
So there you go. He's going to give, which is obviously symbolic. She's long gone. But the concept of celebrating women getting the right to vote and issuing a pardon for Susan B. Anthony, I kind of like that. But I want to make a deeper point in closing out on this show today and in talking about this anniversary of women getting the right to vote. I think that American women are the recipients of the most condescending and insulting treatment by leftists in this country in the political realm. Leftists in this country, to curry favor with women, to try to get women to vote for them, put out lies, and I'm sure you're going to start to hear them again this campaign season. Women only earn, 73 cents on the dollar compared to men. This has not been true for decades. But the left trots out this argument every campaign season because they know that some women will not bother researching, will not bother figuring out the facts, and think, oh, that's terrible. Well, I'm voting for the Democrats because they're going to fix this. God, by golly, I can't believe we only get 73% on the dollar. It is not true and hasn't been true for decades. I've done numerous shows on it, run the data for you, showed the data. When you compare actual apples to apples, women in specific careers with specific education and tenure, they're whatever they are, a PhD in economics and done it for 10 years, with men in the same category, so you're apples to apples, there is no wage gap. In fact, in some very highly compensated fields of work, women, apples to apples compared to men, get paid more than men. So, but why? Ask yourself why the left trots this argument out year after year, even after it's pointed out, for example, in many of the Ivy League institutions, and other colleges and universities, there are more women than men in the graduating classes in law schools and other professional schools. We have access to great education. We have equal access to education, equal access to job. We have the ability to pursue our dreams. We have the ability to go work, and we have laws to protect us in case we bump into one of the sexists who are still around in this country. And there are sexists, of course there are. And we have legal paths available if you want to sue them. We have that. Great, and we should have that. But the left trots out that argument because how the left talks to women is always from the perspective to say, don't you realize you're a victim? You belong in one of our victim silos. We, the leftists, we have victim silos for every hyphenated group in America. And women, you should join in too. You should be part of the victim silo. Here's your reason you're a victim. Leftists try to cultivate a whole bunch of disconnected silos of Americans, all believing in their lies about victimhood. And that is cobbled together, these silos, constitute what the Democrats hope will be a majority voting base. The second reason I tell you that it's insulting how Democrats treat women in election cycles, how leftists talk to women, is because you have the argument made so often that women support, and in some way or other with respect to the abortion issue, left tries to say, because we are, Democrats and we are pro-abortion, we're pro-legal abortion, we should get the women's vote. And it's insulting because it is talking to women as though because you're a woman, you must hold this view on the abortion issue. Not true. There are millions of women who strive every day to support the pro-life movement, to help the pro-life movement, to help pro-life organizations. It's insulting to assign to women the assumption of their political view about abortion just because they happen to be women. There are plenty of women who are pro-choice or pro-abortion, and plenty of women who are pro-life and want to see abortion diminished and ultimately ended. But your gender doesn't dictate your viewpoint, except the left tries to tell you it does. It's the same way the left talks to many African Americans. The argument of the left is that because you're African American, you must be a radical leftist. You must be in favor of reparations. You must be in favor of affirmative action. You must be in favor of every single policy radical leftists support. And they are insulting toward Black Americans who don't agree with them. It's the same mentality of not treating people as though they're individuals worthy of being respected as individuals and thinking as individuals. The last thing about women and the 2020 election cycle is this. As you saw with Michelle Obama and her empathy spiel, as you will see, I'm sure, throughout this convention and throughout the election season, you're going to hear leftists making emotional arguments, making empathy arguments, and pushing policies that actually never work and never help people. But the leftists are never forced to. They're really rarely held accountable for. They rarely are questioned about what is it exactly you're going to do. I mean, President Trump is saying secure the border. What's your position? Don't secure the border? Or let as many illegal aliens in as want to come? Or what is your position on that? What is your position on trade? Do you want to have America have fair trade agreements that allow us to build up our infrastructure again, to build up our country, to make America prosperous again, make America have jobs available here? If you're against that, what's your position? The left uses emotional arguments. They use labeling. They trot out the hatred, bigoted, xenophobe, homophobe, Islamophobe, misogynist. They quote, they drag out of their election locker the same items every 4 years and say, oh yeah, okay, this election cycle again, we're going to call them hateful, bigoted, ignorant, xenophobe, homophobe. And so they trot out labels, they spew them out to the American public, and they expect you to go along with them and vote for them when they are not going to lay out for you what it is they would do instead. What are the policies they support instead? Especially big in the leftist lexicon this election cycle is hater and hatred. It is what they ascribe to every single person who dares to disagree with them on any issue facing this country. It's always, oh, well, then you're a hater. You don't believe in X, you're a hater. And so I really urge you, as we go forward watching the rest of this week, the Democrat convention, watching how many times they actually make arguments of substance on policies versus argue empathy, throw out an emotional appeal, or trot someone across the stage and say, see this person, this happened to them, and it's all because Republicans' fault, instead of talking about what policies they stand for. Watch how often they talk about women as victims. That the entire purpose of existence for women in America is to sign up for their victim club of the year, club of the week. That's what their entire purpose is. Watch that versus how much you actually hear from them about what they believe in. Because I think the radical left in this country has overtaken the Democrat Party. The Democrats cannot stand on the American playing field. They cannot advocate for the freedoms our Constitution guarantees. They cannot advocate for the First Amendment rights. They cannot advocate for entrepreneurship and free enterprise. They cannot advocate for it because too much of their base is way down the tank in the pit of socialism and Marxism. So that's what they have to sell to the American people.